Walter, we had a good thing, you stupid. We had Lockpick RCM, we had Tegra RCM GUI, we had everything we ever needed. You could have shut your mouth and emulated all you ever wanted, but no, you just had to blow it up. You and your Patreon war. I'm gonna run you through, a little bit of the Yuzu emulator situation, The group being a little too greedy. Anyway, so this is on February 27th. Nintendo is suing the creators of the popular Switch emulator Yuzu due to Legend of Zelda being pirated 1 million times. That's the alleged story that's how basically the story runs at first. So they got the whole United States District Court, statement, complaint, jury, etc. Plaintiff Nintendo of America through its counsel on personal knowledge as to its own actions and on information and belief as to the actions, capabilities, and motivations of others hereby allege as follows. Nintendo of America Incorporated, a wholly owned subsidiary of Nintendo Co. Ltd., markets and distributes electronic video game consoles, games, and accessories developed by Nintendo Co. Ltd., including the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, and Nintendo Switch OLED consoles. Nintendo of America Inc. and Nintendo Co. Ltd. are together referred to herein as Nintendo. Nintendo also makes award-winning and beloved video games that can be played only on the Nintendo Switch, including such well-known franchises as Mario and The Legend of Zelda. They really had to include this one in there, huh? Nintendo has sold over 139 million Nintendo Switch consoles and counting, making it the third most popular video game console of all time. Why did they have to include this in a actual court document? Weird. Defending Tropic Haze LLC is an entity that owns, develops, and operates Yuzu. Yeah, so apparently Yuzu, the group that's behind Yuzu, they basically expanded themselves into an LLC. Not entirely sure on like what's the reason behind that. I believe it's just like allegedly, speculation. I think it might have been to like move funds a little bit easier, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Defendant Tropic Haze and operates Yuzu, a video game emulator for Nintendo Switch games. A video game emulator is a piece of software that allows users to unlawfully play pirated video games that were published only for a specific console on general purpose computing device. Okay, so limited liability company. It's basically a local business, you could call it that. Like not a corporation, but it's big enough where it's like, I think it's like 50 people maximum is an LLC, and then past 50 it becomes like a corporation or something, or was it 20? I don't remember very well, but yeah, something like that. So this whole statement about a video game emulator is a piece of software that allows users to unlawfully play pirated video games that were published only for a specific console on a general purpose computer device. That's a very bold statement, considering the fact that like the intention of an emulator is for you to play your own dumped copies of games. It's not specifically for it's not specifically built for like piracy per se. Yes, you can do that. You can illegally play video games on an emulator, but the purpose of an emulator is to preserve video games. It's to take a game from your own hacked device, dump it, and then use that dumped copy and play it on an emulator. So it's like they're immediately going like, oh no, you're using this piracy. That's a little fucked up. Anyway, defendant and its agents are fully aware of the use of Yuzu by others in performing circumvention and in facilitating piracy at a colossal scale. As to circumvention, Yuzu's website acknowledges that the Nintendo Switch's decryption keys, the product keys, are required to decrypt games and include links to software that unlawfully extract those keys from the Nintendo Switch. It's like unlawfully, really? I don't. Is that? I'm not really sure if there's like an actual clause.
Editor's note here, you may ignore most of what I will say about legality in this video as I am a moron. A quick Google search about this issue explained that while dumping games and using your extracted prod keys is not illegal, it may be cause to get sued when you provide software and guides to others on how to use all these things and potentially facilitate piracy.
On like how unlawful is to, you know, extract stuff from your own console that you own as the yeah, because it's basically impossible to play the older games now considering that the new consoles don't support it. Yeah, exactly. That like it's so fucking retarded that they actually do this shit. And they also like took down Citra, a 3DS emulator, so it's like great. Thank you, Nintendo. When my new 3DS dies, I'm not gonna buy a new 3DS. That's not fucking gonna happen. I'm not gonna buy one. I'm gonna be like, okay, fuck this. I'm gonna take all my... I'm gonna download an emulator, and then I'm gonna download ROMs of games that I already own physically or owned digitally on my Nintendo 3DS already. I'm not gonna buy them a second time. They can go fuck themselves. Like... and play that shit on an emulator. Like, it's ridiculous that they, like, even implied this kind of shit. After some convention, Yuzu's website acknowledges that the Nintendo Switch encryption keys are required to decrypt games, include links to software that unlawfully extract those keys. As to piracy, for instance, one recent major Nintendo video game, Tears of the Kingdom, was unlawfully distributed a week and a half before its release by Nintendo. Yeah, so that happened, but, that situation is a little, it wasn't even related to Yuzu. So, Yuzu, the group, the Yuzu group wasn't really like responsible for distributing a week and a half before its release, Tears of the Kingdom. They weren't really responsible for that, but they did. But the people using their emulator did create fixes to play the game on the emulator. They themselves didn't, but there were people that like were able to like do little fixing up for the game to be playable on the emulator. So that happened. But there is a tiny bit of a thing going on with the group itself where allegedly, you know, since this is all Discord DMs and etc., they did have a little pirated game sharing cartel situation going on. So it's kind of, it's a little messy. Let's see. Infringing copies of the game that circulated online were able to be played by Yuzu, and those copies were successfully downloaded from pirate websites over 1 million times before the game was published and made available for lawful purchase by Nintendo. Many of the pirate websites specifically noted the ability to play the game file in Yuzu. Defendants of development and distribution of Yuzu to the public materially contributes to and induces those third parties to infringe the copyrights in Nintendo's games. The defendant is thus secondarily liable for the infringement committed by the users to whom it distributes Yuzu. So it's like, well, you distribute the software even though you didn't technically like spread the pirated game. So you're at fault. We're gonna have to deal with you. So that's how it started. You then had, well, them losing. So Yuzu in its current form will cease to exist. Their settlement with Nintendo prohibits any distribution of Yuzu in built and source code form. Development must stop, and the Yuzu website and related service will also be shut down. That's basically like a week later. They fucking lost. Not really lost, they went on a settlement. So basically, they didn't really go to court to fight Nintendo. They were like, yeah, okay, we'll pay a couple of mil, so we don't have to like fight you and potentially lose even more money. Well, they are liable from the information you've said so far. They're liable by court, I guess, yeah, but like by logic, it's very you know, an emulator isn't particularly. There's a reason we have laws in place that specifically says an emulator is like, you know, isn't exactly for piracy. is for preserving games. Like there was a whole fucking case, like because of I believe Sony trying to sue an emulator that like spawned a whole like thing. I'm not gonna get into that, but let's read here. A permanent injunction is entered against defendant enjoining and its members, against agents, servants, employees, independent contractors, successors, assigns, and all those acting in privity under its control from offering to the public, providing marketing, advertising, promoting, selling, testing, hosting, cloning, distributing, or otherwise trafficking in Yuzu or any source code or features of Yuzu, offering to the public, providing marketing, advertising, promoting, selling, testing, hosting, cloning, distributing, or otherwise trafficking in other software or devices that circumvent Nintendo's technical protection measures, including without. The court further orders the defendant and its members, officers, agents, servants, employees, independent contractors, successors, assigns, attorneys, and all third parties acting in active concert or participation with defendant, including but not limited to any domain name registers or registries holding or listing defendant's websites, surrender and permanently cease to use the domain name yuzu.org, any variant or successor thereof controlled by defendant or its members. So yeah, besides settlement, they basically had to give up not only the any sites they used and any source code and etc. to Nintendo, they also had to give up all their like electronic devices. So surrender permanently cease to use the domain name Yuzu, any variant or successor thereof controlled by defendant or its members, and any other website or system that defendant or its members owns or controls directly or indirectly that involves or harms Nintendo's intellectual property, and to the extent the domain is under defendant or its members' custody or control or under the control of registered or registries with notice of this order. Immediately transfer the name yuzu.org, any variant or successor therefore controlled by defendant or its members, in any other website or system that defendant, etc. I swear Nintendo always has the dumbest reasons to sue. So yeah, pretty much. Instead of like maybe potentially trying to track down the source that like leaked the fucking game, they were like, fuck the emulator. Just remember when they sued a 3D artist for making a model of Bowser's PP. Oh my god, yes, that did happen. That did happen, yeah. Oh god, yeah. The court further orders, pursuant to 17 US, I have no idea what this code is, upon Nintendo's election and to the extent controlled by defendant or its members, the destruction by deletion of all circumvention devices, including all copies of Yuzu, all circumvention tools used for developing or using Yuzu, such as Tegra, RCM GUI, Hakate, Atmosphere, Lockpick, RCM, Anti-Dump Tool, NX Dump Fuse, and Tegra Explorer, and all copies of Nintendo cryptographic keys, including the prod keys, and all other electronic material while within defendant or its members, custody, possession, or control that violate Nintendo's rights under the DMCA or infringe copyrights owned by or exclusively licensed by Nintendo. So yeah, they had to give up every single electronic device that's related to the development and just fucking kill it. But I'm pretty sure Nintendo just kept some of it to like dig a little bit into what the hell they were doing, because that's how the law works. They're not just gonna like destroy the fucking devices. They're obviously gonna like dig through and look for any more evidence to fuck over the, the party they're suing. The court further orders pursuant 17 USC, but Nintendo's election and to the extent controlled by defendant or its members to Nintendo of all physical circumvention devices that circumvent or attempt to circumvent the technological measures and modify Nintendo hardware, including modify Nintendo Switch consoles. Some of the devices to Apple. So yeah, that's happened. So now we're on to Citra. And since Citra was something that belonged to Yuzu, they had to shut down as well. Yeah, it appears that the Citra emulator for DS may have to shut down as well. This is likely because Yuzu and Citra were under the same management. And the settlement with Nintendo was broad enough to extend to all their consoles, and not just the Switch. So this is from a Discord. The user support of Citra part is ambiguous. Does that mean that Citra can still exist? But it is unclear because settlement reads controller under the control registers, that's what we read. I think we should fork it, GPU, and then work hard on this project, and I don't want that to go to waste. Citra's Twitter has currently deleted all of its posts. To clarify, Citra has gone the way of Yuzu, so yeah, they're done. Well, yeah, you can still use Citra, but like if you try to download that, you're more than likely the case gonna have to like look through certain third parties. So this is where we like get into Yuzu being a little greedy. A little bit allegedly being a little greedy fuckers. Putting up a Patreon wall is not illegal. Hell, they could have actually sold the emulator for $100 and it still wouldn't be illegal. That's not the point. They very clearly poked the bear too many times and it circled back around. And even if everything they did was illegal, it wasn't really. Nintendo would still melt them with legal fees for this type of attention to piracy. Oh, they were stupid, just not in the way you think. They were showing evidence of transferring Switch game files in Patreon channels. That is what fucks you over legally, not selling the emulators. Screen is online anyway, but just in case I'll censor them. So, Rodrigo, have you heard about the new Xenoblade? Me, I don't give a fuck about Xenoblade. Rodrigo, well, we have to download it. Me, okay, use the stash. How big is it? Just 14 gigabytes. Fucking 14 gigabytes. LOL. This will take a while. They're like downloading the XCI file, which is basically a dump of the physical cartridge of the game that can only run through a little doohickey that I may or may not have in my possession. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Allegedly. So you use that little doohickey to run XCI files, these specific files, and you can't really run them otherwise, I think. But you can install them to your Nintendo Switch if you have it hacked, so that's that, I guess. And now we're moving on to the Yuzu Forks arc. So, Yuzu will live under a new name, Yuzu. Yuzu is an open source Nintendo Switch emulator designed for legal usage and developed with portability in mind. It is written in C++ and actively maintained for Windows and Linux platforms. So, yeah, this got immediately, community noted. There's an incomplete mirror, no references to submodules in Git history, which is likely not going to be developed. It includes invite to a non-existent Discord server and wiki pages. The offer has no prior development activated on Nintendo Hub. Complete mirrors already exist. That's because the owner is 15. Almost 15. So yeah, some kid decided to I'm gonna make a fork, but it's not really a fork because it's incomplete. And then we got another thing about Yuzu devs being a little interesting in their little greediness. The Yuzu devs settled to avoid discovery. They were going to get fucked with multiple infringement for making ROMs and distributing them between the Yuzu devs of a pre-release of the game. They allegedly had a ROM stash on their Discord too when Nintendo ninjas were inside the Discord watching. Now all the Yuzu devs have turned over all electronic devices, website logs. Oh, and Yuzu was running telemetry in the background, collecting anonymous data. Our heroes, everyone. So that's another thing. Not just that they were handing fucking game ROMs on the fucking Yuzu Discord to one another like fucking candy. They also apparently were running telemetry. So any data that the Yuzu group has allegedly collected, that's now Nintendo's. And Nintendo probably knows a lot of people that use Yuzu. So that's they're probably having a field day with that one. Consistent with that drive, Bunny regularly works to get new Nintendo Switch games running in Yuzu on the day of their release. In addition to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom discussed above, the Yuzu and Bunny specifically have announced that major Nintendo titles such as Metroid Dread, Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, the Pokemon Let's Go Eve and Let's Go Pikachu were playable in Yuzu on their day of release. As for instance, seen in Bunny's post on November 16th, 2018. Let's see, can I read this? Hey folks, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eve is now playable in-game in the latest canary build of Yuzu on release day. Things are still a bit early, and as such, there are a few compromises and issues that need to be worked out in order to get in-game. You will need to grab the latest canary build, and use your NAND keys from your 5.1 console, following our quick start guide. So like, dumping and using your NAND keys, it's like you are using your system to play an emulator. That's not illegal. even though Nintendo is implying it's supposed to be illegal to like dump keys and like use them to, you know, in an emulator. It's like, it's basically like you taking your system, right? Your physical system that you had, and then turning that thing into a digital version of it that you can play games on at better resolutions, at potentially better graphics, with mod packs, etc., 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 etc. It's like, what am I infringing? What is the infringement here? Like, what the fuck, Nintendo? You know? Follow the instructions here to set the correct system settings. At this point, this is just a preview. Do not expect things to work great, but we are working on it and will improve quickly. Enjoy. In fact, in many instances, Bunei officially gets new games running the day before the game's release in the United States. For instance, Bunei linked to a Patreon article which, on information believed, Bunei drafted that announced late on May 28th. You're not supporting us directly. Give us money is what's the problem. True. Yeah, buy another oh, your console is dead? But you're playing the console games that you own on an emulator? No, you can't be doing that. You have to buy another console. You have to shell out another $400-300 for a fucking Switch. In fact, you know what? We have a new Switch coming up. How about you buy that? Yeah, that sounds like a great deal, doesn't it? Fellow consumer. Yuzu also has a feature called telemetry, which, according to Yuzu's website, collects anonymous data about its users' use of the software. This data, again, according to Yuzu, includes what games users are playing, so user developers can discover what are the most popular games and hardware configurations, where emulator games crash in Yuzu most often, and more. On information and belief, plaintiff expects discovery to show that this data reveals to defendant and its developers that its users are playing pirated copies of games, including because the data reflects people playing games prior to their official release date. It's not only that, but each game copy has a unique ID. So if you see, like, 1 million people play the same game, the same ID, like, there's not like a fucking cartel of like 1 million people just like switching out, the fucking cartridge between one another and playing it at the same time. That's impossible. So yeah, they're very not happy about that one. Indeed, a user progress report for June 2023 noted that according to Yuzu data, Tears of the Kingdom is by far the most played game on Yuzu. So yeah, that's that one. So that's strike 2. So sharing games illegally and telemetry. And then we're on to why exactly Yuzu got into the situation. So someone found 93 Nintendo emails and snitched on Yuzu because it didn't run on Windows 7. This is insane. So how's lawfare for a feature? Is there an existing issue for this? What features are you suggesting? User team long spit on Windows 7 holdouts who refuse regressive spyware like 10 or 11 just to use your emulator. You guys didn't just discontinue customer support like Ryujix, which still works. You went out of your way to sabotage operation of Yuzu on 7, making small changes you knew broke compatibility without leaving former fallbacks in place, silencing discussions around this, and treating paying customers to your Patreon income like rabble or dirt to discard. And its stubborn commitment to inoperability, Yuzu abandoned me. So with nothing to lose from Yuzu, I turned against Yuzu. I found 93 somewhat relevant Nintendo emails, even more social media accounts. I sent many messages to inform them about Yuzu, hoping for a cease and desist like this one. Now I hear news of a lawsuit, probably from my awareness effort, maybe not. If it's otherwise, you alienated so many people with such similar antagonism over time that someone disgruntled probably acted. This Reddit comment explains it. You mean you? You're... Bro is like, probably somewhere, it's probably not my fault, but I don't know, maybe not. Perhaps someone disgruntled, you know, someone autistic probably, you know, sent, you know, to 93 in Nintendo emails about you guys being fucking cocks and not letting me play this emulator on Windows 7. You know, tough shit, tough nuts. Sorry. So let's see. Hello Nintendo, I'm sending this email to notify you of the Yuzu project. Yuzu is an emulator people used to play unauthorized and pirated copies of Nintendo games. Their site at yuzuebu.org links to their GitHub emulator. As you can see from their Patreon, the Yuzu team profits from the development by soliciting donations from game pirates, which is illegal. The FAQ on their site assists pirates in their piracy by winking them into how to illegally find the prod keys. Is it actually illegal to find your own like prod keys on your own fucking console? I don't get that. Is it illegal? I mean, I'm not. I'll look this up later or something. I don't know, but I don't think digging around your own console should be illegal. I mean, you own the damn thing. I didn't sign a fucking NDA. I didn't sign a TOS to like use the system last I checked. I bought the fucking thing, so it's mine. It's my console, right? Oh, it is illegal. All right. The entire FAQ section is loaded with questionably illegal statements. They are also active on Reddit and operate server full of chat logs and written statements within which they are less reserved about their piracy. And Nintendo Legal could maybe use a hand. So yeah, that's that of the Yuzu arc. But we have one last thing I'm gonna show you. We have one last little thingy here. So this is the final arc of Yuzu. Yuzu didn't last long. Hi guys, just want to say thanks for the support. Even if many of you hated me for doing this or even stressed me a little, this is my fault. Sorry for the mess. Thanks to all of you. Nicolate. So the kid took down the fucking GitHub repository because people started fucking, well, Twitter being Twitter, they decided to fucking shit on him. So, as it is, that's the end of the Yuzu, arc. I don't know if there's stuff I missed, but for the most part, Yuzu, at first people thought Yuzu didn't really deserve getting shut down like this, but, based on the evidence that, allegedly happened, and according to the legal document itself, piracy within the, within the group, telemetry, collecting info on people using the, who are using the emulator, and, I forgot, what's the last thing? That's it, right? Yeah.